Welcome back to another episode of TFC Unplugged with me and my co-host Noah. Well, what a game. Well, you know what? What a finish last night. Toronto, Montreal, our most hated rivals, came to town. And boy, they brought some friends with them, as we saw in the walk up when we are heading from Liberty Village. Um, I know you were irritated with that, but yeah, let's take a look at the 1-1 draw from last night.
Yeah, I was irritated with that. I was very, as my son pointed out to me this morning, that he's like, I've never heard you swear as much as you have my entire life as you did last night. Um, yeah, I just generally was irritated by the fact that they had a march to the stadium. I'm like, if and then they had a police escort all around them, which I think is funny because when we go to Montreal, we don't get a police escort all around us, and they throw crap at us.
Well, we do get an escort, but it's not the same. It's definitely, and we are treated not as warmly by the security and everything. It's like hurry up and go, and it's definitely not the same vibe.
No, and it just irritates me, right? Like at the end of the day, it's good for the rivalry, I guess, but it just irritates me that when we sit back and look at how we've been treated over the years when we've been to Montreal, we've been 3, 4 times now, right? We've done this a thing, and we've got crap pelted at us, and the security does nothing, but them they were protected yesterday, and I just thought, oh, that's interesting. Um, I also thought the timing was, very, very off, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's a rivalry. I'd much rather have away fans in the stadium because sometimes I find it's such a vanilla atmosphere, and it's even more fun to sing and apparently swear my head off when there's away fans in there to taunt. So yeah, you know what? It was the build up was good, the height was good, the energy was good. I think I was very much up for that yesterday. My voice hurt like hell this morning, by the way. I had like halls, tea, coffee this morning trying. I originally said to you we should record this at 9:30 in the morning, and then we realized Forest was on, so I didn't want to do that. But I don't think I could have talked this morning because my 7 o'clock voice this morning was very gravelly. I sounded like Barry White.
Yeah. Well, there was a point last night I was thinking maybe we can do like 8 o'clock before the Forest game, but there was no chance of that happening. So this is the perfect timing. Good afternoon recording where we can look back. And you know what? Even though it may not have been the most entertaining game or the most entertaining 90 minutes, we still enjoyed ourselves outside of the hot dog
How
fiasco.
can you how can you not, right? It's a derby game. If you, as I tweeted it yesterday, if you don't enjoy this game, if you don't enjoy this rivalry, if you don't enjoy those matches where it is your local rival, then there's no point watching soccer. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, this is what we live for: is those moments of this is the first time I can say this all season. I've been in that stadium that I'm just like, let's just go. Because at the end of the day, it's been so hard to just get any life. And the game, let's be honest, let's start with the game because the first half, I think you looked at me and said, I might have to go and get coffee because I'm like, it was a boring game.
It was a
Like,
horrible game to watch. Like if you were a casual viewer and you turned that game off and probably did not come back in the second half because of how bad it was. It was not entertaining. It was not enjoyable to watch. It was a yawner. Like I
but
was, and I'm
that
sure
last
many
three
others.
games have been like that though, right? Like somebody
Yeah,
said that
yeah,
to me about Atlanta. I struggled to get through the Atlanta game. I
yeah.
really struggled to get through that game. I was trying not to fall asleep. That game yesterday, I was hyped. I was going for it. I was pumped. I was super excited. I was super fired up, which is all the good things, right? But the second half came around. I'm like, oh, I said to someone in this who was next to me, I'm like, oh my god, if they don't kick it up a gear with this energy in this building, there's something wrong with these guys. They need a slap because at the end of the day, that energy in that crowd was really good. The South End was really pushing them on, and I think. It took that Montreal goal to kind of really wake up a lot of people. Now, don't get me wrong, straight away, it was just this death tone. They were trying to do the thunderclap as they scored, right? Which has happened now 3 times in a row this season. We've done the thunderclap and the away team scored. So I'm thinking we should wait till we score and then do it. Like it killed it for like 5 minutes, and then I think everybody You saw the players, I think, felt that because you saw their reaction when they walked back to the center circle, and then they I think, got their crap together. And I think the best part of that is that then there was a one chance created, and then suddenly the crowd was like, all right, we've got this, we can get this back, right, and we can make a difference. And you got to give shout out to the South End. They were very loud last night, and obviously we know that it's always the part of when Montreal's in town, they're always going to be loud, but it does help having lots of people that kind of turned up to the game too, right? So
Yeah.
it really
Well,
helped.
and that's the thing, is there was a massive turnout. Like, I didn't see what the final attendance was, but to me, it was close to a sellout. It was a packed house visually.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, you can't see every seat, so sometimes there are some empty pockets, but for the most part, it looked like people showed up. It was, CNE Saturday night. Weather was pretty good. It wasn't too cool with all things considering. And you know what? You're right. After that goal, like, I think just before the goal, it started to feel like it started to get a little bit more end to end, a little bit more intense. And then the downer, you're right. We're doing the thunderclap, and then it's like, why are we doing it? It's 0-0, and seconds later they score. Like, I think literally in the first minute of us doing the thunderclap, and they continued on. Wasn't a good one. And yeah, the team turned on the intensity for the remainder of the game, and that tying goal really was, we needed that. And I think the team showed that, like, you know what, Montreal, we might not be playing much better than you this year, but you're not getting us again on our home turf. And like, yeah, we did lose to them in the Canadian Championship, but it was a little bit of redemption knowing that we beat them at the home 6-1. We were able to fight back and get the draw last night. It's been some ugly draws as of late. You can really tell when the season is just kind of dragging on, but again, it's Montreal. The vibe was there. And there's nothing like a Montreal game. There really is nothing like a Montreal game. And it doesn't matter what other team from this country comes to play at BMO Field. There's only when Montreal, because Vancouver came this year and it was nowhere near the same vibe. You don't get that same vibe. And I
Yeah.
know a few other teams do bring a decent small fan base, but the Montreal, even hats off to the ones that do come down from Montreal. You know what? They make their voice present pre-game and during the game. So I'll take the draw at the end of the day, with all things considered.
Yeah, you know what? I think we have to have a conversation about this striker position. I was more than irritated yesterday, like more than irritated yesterday with Ola. Uh, I don't know why he's starting at this point. If we haven't got a sample size to say this guy's not good enough for us, that breakaway, the energy, the anticipation when he had that breakaway and he's one on one, bearing down on the goal, and we thought it was a save, but he puts it over. That's the first time I've seen BMO collectively get up off its feet, right? And I mean, because not the South End, but I mean the rest of the stadium. People got up out of their seats, and you're like, oh my god, this is going to be the moment. And
And
like the rest of the season, he has been in front of goal. He's just not done it.
yeah,
And he put that over. I haven't watched the replay of it, to be honest, but I thought it was a save, but then we'll see, it was a goal kick after, so I assumed that he didn't. But that's the chances that a nine needs to score in this league, and that's the problem. Is he's scored 2 goals since he's been here, and we have a sample size. I don't understand why he's starting. I don't understand why he's not on the bench, because he's just not doing anything. And he dived around yesterday. I know you said it to me like 3 times. If he stays on his feet half the time and stop flopping around, we'd actually get a build up of play. I don't feel he did anything yesterday to really help the team. And when he came off, Kerr came on, and Kerr's we have a sample size on Kerr, right? And I think there is a spot for Kerr on this team somewhere as a guy to help in various positions. Everybody knows my thing. But the difference is when we were down and they sent on Vilsan, right? He came on, he looked so much more threatening than the other two combined. I tweeted this, or I think I responded to someone's tweet this morning, and his composure when he's got the ball, like he's not panicked, he's not rushed. He just gets the ball, does what he wants to do, and we scored that goal. Also scored the goal. We'll get to that in a minute. But the Vilsaint chance, he came on and he does that little bit in the box, he little side shimmy, unleashes a shot that we all stood there like, how did that not go in? It came off the inside of the post, fired out like an absolute rocket. But that's closer than Ola's got in 18 games. Like, it's just, how do we not know that, look, this guy is a guy on loan with an option to buy? Clearly, you're not going to buy him. If they buy him, they're idiots. Because he can't score.
Well, Vilsaint on his first shot since when he came to this club scored a goal. His second shot hit the cross or the goal post across. Like, at least we know when he's in and around the 18-yard box, he's going to be effective with something on target. Might go in, might hit crossbar, but he's going to do something that's going to at least put pressure on the defense, on the keeper to do something. We can't say that about any of our other strikers. Ule, like last night, Ole, whatever his name is, like, to me, the biggest frustration for me was every time somebody bodied him up or even just tapped him, he was going down. And that was the frustration. It's like, dude, that's not a foul. Get the F up and play some football. Like, be a striker that can take some physical contact. Because the problem is you're not going to get calls when you're flopping on the ground like that. Everyone can see it. Like, and you're frustrating us as a fan base because it's embarrassing. We want a striker that can do something, and you're not doing anything. The club cannot take up that option to buy. You know what?
If
You thought maybe
that's a TAM deal for him,
yeah.
absolutely.
No.
No
There's
way.
no deal for him at all. Let him go.
Yeah.
He's not. You know what? MLS is. He's not fast enough. He's not strong enough. He doesn't put the ball in the back of the net. There's no check marks worthy of a reason to keep him. So ship him out. And like I said, next season, or not even next season, for the remainder of the season, if it was up to me, our strike pairing should be Vilsaint and Kerr. Let's see what this young kid can do. Like, the one credit I'll give to Montreal, they already conceded the season, but they are at least playing their kids to see who can play in this league and who can't. And they're
We
not giving
eliminated them
them
from playoff contention last night. I just want to point
Yes,
that.
we did. Yes, we did. But you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you still have to see what your team has, what options, if there is anything there. We don't really know that with some of these young kids. So for me, it's like, you know what? Let's see if this kid can do anything. Right? Like,
I
at
just
the end
want
of
to
the
see him.
day, you traded
Oh,
for him. Like,
yeah.
in the small sample size, he's showing enough that put him out, give him more minutes. Let's see. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, what do you have to lose at this point?
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Because as I said to you yesterday, like he's far more threatening on that goal than the other two combined. And I think I still believe Kerr should be. I like the idea of him and Kerr playing together, and I just
Yeah.
And that's kind of the bit for me. But at the end of the day, they have to make a decision on him. I think that the evidence is pretty clear on Ola. He needs to just go somewhere else. Let's move on to the Oso winner, because obviously a guy that needed the goal, I think, more than anybody on that team, and a guy that needed a performance more than anyone, because we haven't had an Oso performance for a while. I thought he wasn't bad yesterday. And I've been critical of him of late, because I do feel he hasn't. I think his legs are gone, right? Is what even yesterday there was a point where there was a break on, and he didn't run. I think his legs are going, and I think that he's not getting in the boxes to arrive late. And I think if you watch that goal back, he's on the edge of the area and makes that little short run into the box. That's Oso that we know, but I just don't think he makes those runs as much anymore. I don't know whether it's Robin Fraser's defensive system that he doesn't want him to do that as much, but at the end of the day, that's a great shot. It's a good save, but it's a save that puts it into danger. And the finish, you knew it was going to be him. You just knew it. And
Yeah.
then obviously as he's running back, he taunts one of the Montreal players just for extra stick. And I think that's kind of what we want to see when it's a TFC Montreal. I want to see somebody getting taunted, and I want to see somebody getting in their face. And yeah, we'll get on to Richie after because he also, I think, had a bit of a redemption game yesterday too. But at the end of the day, I thought, the goal was well taken. It is kind of classic OSO, and that's kind of what we've been missing.
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, also in the core of the team were pretty invisible for most of the game. So when he stepped up when we needed it the most. It was a beautiful finish. It was anyone who saw it in the South End, like that was just he was in the perfect place for the rebound off the save and clinical finish. And there was no one was stopping that goal from going in the back of the net at that point. And you know what? Hats off to him. You're right. He needed that for, he's had definitely not a great season. You and I have definitely been very critical of him throughout this season. Some people may think we're overly critical, and it's not that we're ones who say Oso needs to go. We just think his role needs to be redefined on this team. It's that simple. But on a day and I think where you would see him be more effective throughout the season, where he would be putting the ball in regularly, would be him coming in the last 20 to 30 minutes of games where he's not required to run as hard for 60 minutes at the beginning, and he can give you a lot more with fresher legs and goals like that. It's that simple. That to me is when you adjust as a player ages and reaches a certain stage in their career where you can still get the best out of them, but you have to use them wisely. It's that simple.
Absolutely. And I think that's the issue that we've been saying because, it's no different than the Michael Bradley days, right? We had the same conversation when Michael Bradley's on, and people are like, why, Michael Bradley's that. They are the heartbeat, but you get to a point where your heartbeat doesn't necessarily have to be on the pitch because, you set the tone as somebody that's a leader in that locker room. And I think also does set the tone. And on those derby days, you do need the guys that are Canadian, that are understanding the rivalry to step up. And Richie was his classic Richie.
Yep.
He had a good game yesterday at centre back, which leads me to think Petretta. I don't know. I didn't ask you. I don't know if I don't have time today, but Petretta is Petretta and Roasted injured, or are they on the exit?
I'm not sure. I've heard, it's in, because I think we saw a rumor that it was with Petrata, some a knock or something, so he wasn't part of the. But isn't the transfer window over? So, like, we
So
can't buy them out.
you could sell them right to European teams, or they can go somewhere else. You know what I mean?
I mean, you would assume that both of them have European interest, and I don't see that happening.
Well, I don't know. Maybe some Norwegian clubs are looking at Roasted to bring him back. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that Richie was the centre back, and I didn't really dive into it. Didn't have very much time this week to kind of
Yeah.
look at the background of what's kind of going on.
But
But he did have from a Richie standpoint, he did have a very good game.
well, not just a matter of him having a good game. He played Richie's not the tallest guy. He's playing center back, and this is where Montreal probably didn't try to, maybe have Prince play off of Richie more often, where you have the height. This is where from if I'm the other team's coach, I'm gonna see that and try to use that to my advantage. But it actually worked for our advantage, where Richie was outstanding last night in that position. He was all over the pitch. He was in people's faces. He was causing a lot of disturbance. He was making them make stupid fouls. It was a little bit of we may not have seen a lot of the runs that we'd like to see out of Richie that we used to see, but we're still seeing in the past couple of games, I think we're starting to see a little bit more. He seems to be a little bit more rejuvenated and has fresh legs where he can kind of be the Richie we're used to.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta give Kevin Long a shout out because him and Prince wrestling, they weren't playing football. They were having a good old fashioned wrestling match, and they had a couple of tackles where absolutely crunching each other, and that was a proper fierce matchup from a striker and defender. And Kevin Long, I thought, was excellent all day. His communication was very good. He was very loud, and we could actually hear him yelling and shouting and you don't always hear that at BMO. You don't always hear that from TFC players. So I thought Kevin Long was very good yesterday. I'm not sure he will be here past the season. But at the end of the day, I thought he really put in a shift yesterday too. Got to give him a good shout out for that because I thought he played very well. And then the end, I think for me, the only other person that I really was kind of interested to see how they played was the new guy. I can't pronounce his name. Fuentes. Anyway,
Cifuentes,
yeah,
like he did come on. He eventually came on.
he looks he looks like Derby Flores Mark II, right? He's got the same sort of demeanor. He's got a good stature. He's a bulky guy, right? He kind of looks fairly jacked in that midfield. So yeah, he came on. He had some nice moments too. I thought he was pretty good. I think the highlight of the day was watching Matty Longstaff play peacemaker with everybody at every incident. I think that was highly entertaining. He clearly has got a soft spot for TFC, which is not going to go down well with Montreal fans. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. It wasn't good, right?
No, he'll learn like they don't like us here, but you know what? That someone will have to explain to him that basically going from Toronto to Montreal would be like going from Newcastle to Sunderland.
Yeah. He,
Right.
he,
And
he
that
was very much a peacemaker yesterday, which was very funny. So it was, I did think it was good, but yeah, at the end of the day, you expect the team to put a performance in. They didn't really put much. That first half, as we said, it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't anything, but it's been like that for the last few weeks. You can see their ideas and the way they played. I thought Theo got down the right a lot and put some really good balls into the box. The left side was non-existent, right? And I think we have to figure out how we play because at the times Mihailovic looks very good if he can get on the ball, but again, we're just so imbalanced, and the fact that our strikers, when they do get chances, don't score, it has to be addressed. And I do think we need somebody to go on the other side to Theo that can get down the sides because it just didn't happen yesterday.
Yeah. Theo, again, this is our frustration with Theo is there's days where he looks dangerous on the wing where he can break a man down one-on-one. He can have some pace and attack. And then there's games where he just struggles. And, yesterday was a game where he didn't have it. And unfortunately, I think there's more, like you and I said this, we know there's something there. If he can simplify his game where he doesn't try to do too much with the step overs and try to, beat a man too often, understand where his teammates are, when he needs to take it down the line, when he needs to slow down, allow them to catch up to him. Like when he simplifies it, there's something there. But he overcomplicates his game more often than not, and that's the frustration with Theo.
Yeah, and I think we just, you kind of see it. Like I think I said to you yesterday, Dominguez, I really like Dominguez. He's got a bit of bite to him. He puts himself about a bit. He can play the ball very well. And I think he is. If TFC is going to resign somebody, resign him because I think he's also on loan, right? With a loan with an option, but he looks like a decent player.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody you want on your squad, especially with a full, after the offseason proper training camp. Players like Dominguez, Mihailovic, Cifuentes, if we get our number 9, you get those players the proper time to gel together and figure things out. Like a lot of people don't, it doesn't, like you actually when you have certain players and they have to understand, where do you like the ball? What kind of runs do you like to make? Where's the best place to put, do you like it off of your shoulder versus down? Like, these are things that need to be figured out. And you know what? When you get all of them, because again, Dominguez, keep, Ule, see you later. Like, you've seen enough to see that there's something in one and nothing in the other.
Yeah. But I think that's ultimately what it kind of comes down to, right? We've seen it now where it's, we have these sample size on these windows, like, and I look at Dominguez and go, yeah, the sample size is good enough to say, you know what, they should take that guy and bring him back, because he is a little bit more of a cultured football. He does very much do that Marky Delgado role at times, right, where he just connects all the dots for the team, and I think it's a very underrated role. I think it's a very underappreciated role. And, I'm going to put myself in that title. When Delgado was here, I'd be like, why is he playing? But when he's gone, you realize the value of him once he's gone. So at the end of the day, I just think, when I sit down and look at yesterday's game, give a good example of everything you need to know about this team. We are missing some real quality. Yes, we've got some money to spend, but there needs to be some harder conversations with some of the players about the long-term growth rate. And I think, it wasn't a classic. I was hoping for a classic. I wanted but I'll take a good old scrap, which is what yesterday was, a good old scrap, and a loud BMO field bouncing and doing BMO field things, which is what we miss a lot.
Yeah, you know what? It may not have been the prettiest game, but it was, at the end of the day, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed how our team didn't just sink and give up. They fought hard. They turned it up a notch. And against a team like Montreal, that's all you can ask for, is that, we fight. We show them that, we're not going to give up that easily. And again, I think at the end of the day, that however many thousand people, 24 plus, we'll be happy with all things considered. You never want to, not win against Montreal, but you'll take that draw and be like, you know what?
Well, we didn't lose, right? And then I think that was more the relief was we didn't lose, because that's just not acceptable, right? So, am I happy with the draw? No, not really. But I also don't want to lose to Montreal ever. So, taking that point is, it's a point towards, moving on. But at the end of the day, we're not going to the playoffs. We're not going to make the playoffs. And, we just need to see what we've got now. And I think Robin Fraser needs to take a long, hard look at that, right? Of, what's left. Because let's say against into Miami, and let's say the next couple of games, we want to see what some of these guys that are on, on the edge of the team can do in the first team, because at the end of the day, we have to start building around the guys that are going to be here long term.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And you know what? There's no time like the present to say, you know what? Let's start to see what some of the future holds. And that includes, and I know a lot of people may not want to hear it, but it's probably time to let's see what Gavin can do. Assuming, unless the club knows something we don't know, and Sean Johnson is going to be back for at least another year, then you know what? Then I can see why. But at the same time, I think, even so, Gavin didn't get much playing time this year. Right? He didn't get the Canadian Championship run, so like, let's give him some playing time. Let's see what the kid can do.
Absolutely. But you know what? It's cheers to everyone that turned up yesterday. The volume, the noise, the energy. I love it. It's addictive, right? But it's it's difficult when we've not had that much to cheer for the last couple of years. So
trust me, I'm sure. You know what? Even the fan base understands that. Like we have a knowledgeable fan base that they're frustrated as much as you and I and everyone else who shows up week in, week out. They're just as frustrated as us with what they've seen over the past few years. But I think we said this in a few shows back, that the fan base is starting to give the club management an opportunity, right? Because we saw what attendance was like, a few months ago when it was pretty sad coming to games. And we saw what it's been like as of late. And last night was a telltale sign that, I've seen random TikToks where people like, my first TFC game, oh my God, I'm hooked. And it was last night. Because you know what? All it takes is one vibe and it can change people's mentality. So I'll take it. I'm gonna enjoy it for the moment. Again, not expecting much at this point in the season, but I'll enjoy the ride.
This season's done, and I think we've talked about this for a while, right? So it's been over for a while, but hey, I just want to find out who's in and who's out, right? And that's what you can say. But what I will say is, yeah, I like the look of the kid up front, Saint, because honestly, very very good for a big man, right? Such smooth and fluid footballer. Yeah, I think that's kind of a good place to leave it, because at the end of the day, the pure joy of that Oso goal and the relief in the stadium was like, ooh, we dodged a bullet. So let's just call it a day, and thanks everyone for watching, and don't forget to smash a like and all that fun stuff that we always seem to forget to do. So
yeah, and of course subscribe, because we need to build up our subscription numbers. But we appreciate everything.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right, take care. Have a good one. Peace out.
Like what you hear? Smash that like button, subscribe now.